Hello, everybody. Today, this is our very first ITB podcast. I'm here, Lawrence.
I'm here. This sultry tone is Peter Blankon.
And I am Rose Atkinson.
Nice.
Nice.
And today we're going to be talking about how we all got into the industry, as well as, like, at the very end, we're going to be just talking about what games we're playing at the moment. Peter, do you want to start?
Go on then. Why not? I mean, it's one of those kind of stories that we're told a few times.
Whoa, where did our silly facts go? Okay, we were going to have some silly facts
yeah,
about
that's a good point,
ourselves.
yeah.
So
All right, Rose, do you want to do your silly fact first? Or interesting fact?
I once auditioned for Jane Eyre, but I don't have a northern accent, and I won't try and recreate it now.
Despite the fact you are from the north.
Yeah, I'm from Durham.
You are of the north.
It was bad. It was so bad.
we're talking like, Castle Black North.
What?
What?
Anyway.
What?
You just watch Game of Thrones.
Oh, no.
I know.
Winter
terrible.
is coming. Yeah.
Is it though?
All right, let's move on. Peter,
Yeah.
Peter, what's your...
My interesting fact is that I once won a Harry Potter lookalike competition as a child.
Wow. That's something to be actually quite impressive.
Yeah, I was pretty pleased
that's
myself.
impressive.
I mean,
How
it was
old
a
were
Harry
you?
Potter lookalike competition in Carlisle, possibly the smallest city in the world. But hey, it was at a Waterstones,
Fair.
so
That's
that's
legit.
official.
Yeah. I guess my interesting fact is that it was last year. Last year I had a film shown at the British Film Institute, which is it felt like a pretty big
That's
deal at the
actually
time.
pretty impressive. Yeah.
Way better than anything
There's
we've
me
done.
thinking, oh yeah, I got the best fact here.
But yeah, that's my interesting fact, I guess.
Yeah.
Nice
one.
So,
Now we've introduced everybody.
now we've introduced everybody. Let's get into delve into
The actual interest.
yeah.
of it.
Let's
Delve deep into the cave under the earth. You could say in Latin, subterra.
Plug.
That was
Plug.
awful.
So, Peter,
Yes. that
how
was
did
my
you
name.
get into the industry?
Well, as many people who have talked to me about this previously will know that I like to say, by complete accident. When I was in my final year of university, me and my friend Matthew spent an inordinate amount of time avoiding doing our finals revision because exams suck and they're hard. So we spent a lot of time in Thirsty Meeples, which I believe was the first board game cafe in the UK, which is pretty cool. And it opened up in Oxford nearby. And we spent loads of time in the evenings kind of chilling out, playing some different games. We both played a lot of games as we were younger. I played a lot of Warhammer and just like general board games and stuff with friends. But we got kind of reintroduced to the kind of world of gaming through Thirsty Meeples, which is really exciting, kind of rediscovering something that we really enjoyed. And then we got chatting to the manager, Simon Reed, who is still an absolute boss working at Thirsty Meeples. Yeah, he's that absolutely amazing guy. Shout out to Simon. You are the best. And he just encourages to like try out making a game. He's like, go for it. Like, you're enjoying games, chatting about these games a lot. Like, just see what happens. So we took him up on that and designed a game based on something that my friend Matthew was studying at the time, doing chemistry. And we made Molecular. Tried it out with our friends. They seemed to like it. And then we decided to put it on Kickstarter, which is still pretty much in the early days of kind of used as a platform for board games. And we launched that just after we finished our exams, which was a terrible idea. I also moved house and went on holiday within a few days of that as well, which is an absolutely tragic ordeal.
So it's literally without him, there would be no ITB, really.
Yeah, you can credit basically everything to Simon Reed.
Yeah.
So well done, Simon. But yeah, it was just a kind of a starting point of just a fun little sort of side project that me and a friend cooked up, and it's kind of grown from there.
What about you, Rose?
So I never intended to go into board gaming. Obviously, I think we're at a stage in the industry where no one actually intended for this to be the job.
It's all completely accidental.
We just lucked out. It's great. So I was doing a degree in physics, and randomly I got an email from the Trading Card Society, which I wasn't actually a member of.
Shout out to the Trading Card Society.
Thank you, also Trading Card Society, for standing next to us at Freshers Fair. You influenced the course of my life.
Standing next to who was that? Standing next to who?
the Star Trek Society.
Which you were the
captain of.
You were the captain of the Star
That
Trek
should
Society.
have been my fact, really.
I mean,
you're now Admiral Emeritus.
I was president of the Filmmaker Society when I was at Portsmouth.
That's pretty cool.
I was president
That's
of the Engineers
functional.
Without Borders Society. They sound like impressive but boring.
Yeah.
Yes,
Whereas
yeah.
yours sounds
I'm pretty
entertaining.
sure being captain of Star Trek Society helped me get on the micro internship in the first
That
place.
is definitely true. I remember reading your CV.
Nice.
At which point I feel like you should talk about that rather than me referring to it.
Mm.
Yeah, so I just saw a week's work experience and I was like, well, this is absolutely not what I had planned for my life. So I tried to ignore it, and then I was like, well,
But the
I
call
don't
of
know.
board games was too
I
strong.
know I should be revising for exams at that time, but really, what could be the harm in a little bit of board games? So I went for a week, absolutely loved it. Asked Peter if I could come back next summer.
She says asked. She means badgered belligerently by email. At which point I gave
prompted a
in
couple
and
of
succumbed
times.
to Rose.
and kept commenting on Newspeak threads as well.
Oh God, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I'm persistent.
You were relentless.
Uh,
It was impressive.
And then after a couple of months internship, I asked for a job, and here I am. So yeah, it's been
fair.
fantastic.
Went from a week to a couple of months to a couple
Yeah.
of years at this point
Yeah.
now.
And then I guess you got myself,
Did you?
where I think I've come into the game quite late, really. I feel like I've come into it quite late. But I originally studied film production at Portsmouth Uni, and then ended up meeting these guys through the UK Games Expo.
Yeah, you came and helped us out that year a few years ago, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I think it was 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I did. I think I remember approaching you and being like, "Oh yeah, how about we make like a video?" I brought my camera gear up, and we'll make like a little video or something. And it came out okay. It wasn't. It definitely.
It was all right though. I was just like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah,
have some
yeah.
extra content. That'd be
Why
awesome.
not? And then obviously, 2 years later, I came to you with a couple of other conventions, and then I finished my degree.
Mm-hmm. You did some other work for us as well, like a Subterra commercial that you did. That was very fun.
Yeah, that commercial. And yeah, that's how we're here today now.
And I was like, you know what? I just want more Lawrence in my life. And I feel like the best way to do that is to give you a job. So I get that sweet content on the daily.
Yeah. Especially for you guys.
Yeah, you can't see that he's pointing if you're listening on Spotify or your other podcast
Oh yeah,
provider.
but
But he means you guys.
I mean
directly at the
you
camera.
guys.
Yeah.
Well, I summed that up pretty quickly. Oh,
We were supposed
no,
to spend
the
like
coffee's
20
spilled.
minutes on that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I feel like we should probably have padded out those stories. Like
yeah.
a little
I think we
more.
should have padded that story out.
Was a bit quick.
Well, how about we talk about kind of like other sort of aspects of how we got into it? So I mean, obviously Rose's kind of entry to the industry was, through the internship stuff that we ran. I'm sure there were plenty of other people who, maybe haven't had access to that kind of stuff, maybe weren't the right age group or the right demographic that we advertised to. Probably be interested to know what that actually entailed, like what the micro internship was and continues to be.
Yeah.
And then what the summer internship was, kind of see what that track actually looked like.
Yeah. Like, what did you do over that time?
What did I do? Well, so
what did you do, Rose?
the micro internship was offered through my university's career service. So, unfortunately, fortunately for me, it was great because I was at university. But it was definitely a rather limited opportunity.
Yeah.
But during the micro internship, I applied for the writing one and didn't get it for some reason.
Whoops. Whoopsie doo.
But I did get a cool one.
Rose isn't glaring at me at all now. It's not like Rose
It's
just
alright.
tons of writing for a job right now or anything.
Exactly. I do it all the time. I proved I can do it now.
It's true. I was wrong. Rose is right.
So instead I was doing one about the possibility of running a mega game style event. Basically, a mega game is a game for 10 plus people, which runs a little bit like a board game, a little bit like a LARP, like live action role play kind of thing. So I was looking at venues in London and the potential costs of doing that. So obviously ITB's never actually gone anywhere with that, but evidently Peter
Rose
liked what I did
absolutely
enough
terrible
to
job,
stay
but I
around.
still gave her a job for some
Yeah.
reason.
It was great. Had a great time. Went to the Museum of London Docklands. All sorts of things that would generally set the tone for what life at ITB was going to be like.
What's that like, Rose? Out of interest.
Crackers, yeah.
Crackers. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Crackers, yeah.
I will just like to apologise for the occasional. You might hear a London Overground train pass every so often,
Or the occasional siren.
or the occasional siren. We are in London.
Yeah, these things happen.
These
frequently.
things do happen frequently. So
There is a train like directly above the office.
there is. So yeah, just a little pre-warn on that one.
Yeah, you might see if you're watching on YouTube or your other video content provider. I don't even know what Vimeo or something.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Twitch.
I don't know what I don't know what this is going on.
Yeah, let's put this on Twitch.
Yeah.
Anyway, you might see a shaking of the camera as the train rumbles across the roof, but
You may she.
what?
You may see me leaning out of shot because this is my first podcast and
Yeah.
I'm
I
a
I thought you were
really
going to say
fidgety
you may see me
person.
shit myself.
I mean, this is my first podcast too. So
Hopefully not.
it's
I'm
like-
not really nervous.
You can see
so-
that thing where people they'll take a picture of a group of people, but the people that are being taken picture of, that didn't make sense. They all lean in, thinking that the kind of
The
viewing
gravity,
window
yeah.
is like really really small, and actually they're all like pointed towards each other, despite the fact that the picture is enormous. Right, very silly.
hopefully it's not like that.
Delightfully off topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were talking about micro internships and stuff.
Yeah, so that was my micro internship. We also built a super-sized Subterra cave made out of like 10 copies of Subterra,
Wow.
Yeah, that was really fun. So we've got some pictures of that somewhere. Really. Yeah.
which is definitely Peter being like, that would look really cool, but I can't be bothered. So
Yeah, that's totally right.
gonna get this pack of interns to do it.
100% what I thought.
But
was,
nonetheless, I enjoyed it a lot. So, in the summer when I came back for an internship, I was doing games development. So, sorry.
Weird apology for the people who can't see you.
I just knocked my microphone.
You
It's
apologise to your
probably
microphone. Okay, great.
It's all good. It's all
Sort
good.
of apologise,
Like I said, this is our
Talk
first
to
time
microphone.
round, so all is forgiven.
You see, I'm
Yeah.
just really hoping that
Okay.
no one can hear these weird groaning noises my
I'm-
seat is making.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope not.
Can anyone hear that? No?
Oh,
Yes.
we'll soon find out. It'll be in the
comment, subscribe.
comment section. Everybody, like,
Yeah.
why is Peter's chair so loud? Hashtag
Why is
Hashtag.
Peter's chair so loud?
hashtag why is Peter's chair so loud?
That's gonna take off. In my internship, I was a games developer. I worked a lot on Newspeak, which we're working on at the time. So basically, that was testing what I was writing a bunch of backstory for it, which was loads of fun. I did a lot of dystopian research, so the theme of the game was consistent and at least vaguely made sense. I tried. And then I also did some work on testing it, trying to iron out the details of the game's rules, basically, and seeing what kind of code sets worked well and what kind of code words worked well. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
That reminds me, actually, Peter. So, do we actually have like a little update on Newspeak?
We do actually. So depending on when this airs, this might be jumping the gun or going after it, depending on.
No, I
when
think
we launch things.
I think it should be. It should hopefully be about right.
Okay, cool. So, for those of you listening in, for the listeners at home, the sultry voices coming out. I don't really know why, but yeah. So we just actually got the printed sample of Newspeak and the deluxe edition, the Kickstarter edition, through from the factory in China. It's Long Pack
It
Games.
looks
Shanghai.
fantastic.
It looks really it's really exciting to see it. Like, obviously we had the sort of the printed sort of sample preview copies, which had a few of the components in, the kind of key things in there, and we kind of ramshackled together the little bits to use as preview copies.
Yeah.
But actually having the proper thing there is really exciting. So all the printed components have arrived, and we're gonna have a package of all the things like the pens and the sort of plastic bits, like timers coming a second wave. But yeah, so we'll have a video of the
There will be all the unboxings
stuff.
and a revisit of the how to play, like a new how to play version. We're gonna be doing all that as well very soon.
I think we've got a playthrough.
We will be doing a playthrough. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yes.
So we've got some exciting stuff happening in Newspeak, and that means we're pressing print pretty soon. I mean, it's already press print, but like the kind of the big button to actually make like a couple of thousand copies of it, and then we'll be air freighting the Kickstarter pledges, so fast tracking them all the way to our warehouse in Hampshire. I think it's in Hampshire. Can never remember. Somewhere in the south of England. My geography is terrible. South of Manchester. For those of you in England, you know what I mean. And
I'm the same with the North, to be honest.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, me and Lawrence come from opposite ends of the country.
Yeah, so
like,
I know Jackal.
it's just
up
weird.
north.
Like every time we go to Birmingham to go to the UK Games Expo,
Yeah.
it's like, where actually are we?
Yeah,
Like, I know I got on a train and it took like a while to get here.
yeah.
But I literally could be in France. I genuinely have
Mm.
no idea. Is Birmingham in France? No,
I thought it was Ireland, actually.
It's in the
Ireland.
south, that's for sure.
It's in the south. Could
Don't
be
believe
Spain,
a
who
southerner
knows?
who tries to tell you it's the north.
Italy's quite far
It's near
away.
Cornwall, isn't it? Like,
Cornwall, yeah.
it's-
Makes sense. Right.
It's like down.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah, yeah.
Midlands. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I digress.
yes, I mean, Newspeak's going on really well, which is great. And what's really exciting as well at the moment is we've got quite a few projects that are kind of in a really, really cool stage, kind of really exciting part of the project. Kind of the bit just before having them on the shelves, basically, which is great. So we've got Scorer, which is a Viking fishing game as part of the Lunchbox series.
I absolutely love that game. Oh my god,
It is really fun.
so fun.
It's just the little boats; they're so cute.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've also got Space Worm, which should be coming out pretty soon as well, which is great. So that's taken a while to get to sort of completion. So it's exciting to have that. So at Newspeak, Cryptex is near completion too, which means we should have the games for people by the deadline in the summer,
Nice.
which is super exciting. And then obviously burning the midnight oil, doing the work for. I feel like I missed an opportunity for a lava reference there. Burning the midnight lava.
You do too many lava references.
Yeah, I
anyway,
really
so-
do. For Subterra 2, getting all that stuff finished off, and then hopefully to print as soon as we can, and over to people's gaming tables.
Nice.
Nice. Smart.
Rose, come on, say it. We want to make it a catchphrase.
Nice.
But you said it before me.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
For reference, Rose says nice a lot.
Yeah.
Nice.
There we go.
Just like that. There we go.
There we go. Get really close and say it like.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, there we go. That's what
We're
I'm
gonna have to
talking
make
about.
that like an audio sticker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a little meme thing.
Oh, what do they call it? Soundbite.
A soundbite. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I mean.
Lawrence
A
is
soundbite.
literally the king of clickbait, so
Yeah,
expect this all the time.
There'll be like stuff all over the thumbnails and yeah,
Exploding confetti and all
Yeah,
sorts of
yeah, yeah.
things. Yeah.
all kinds of stuff like that.
So one thing that I was thinking actually was like we talked about kind of Rose getting into the industry kind of through the internship track, sort of like finding that one in. But I think it'd be interesting to find out because obviously for me it's a bit different. It's like I'm going to start the business side of it myself, but obviously I didn't get a job in the industry, so to speak. But I think it'd be interesting to hear from you two like what other kinds of opportunities you might have come across or seen kind of in tabletop. Because obviously I'm in the position of kind of advertising stuff, so I'm not necessarily looking for jobs.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, outside of like maybe comparing job listings and
Implying we're looking for jobs.
stuff. I mean, I hope you're not. You're great. But I think like in terms of like being in that position as like an employee rather than an employer, I think it'd be interesting for me as well to hear kind of what kind of opportunities you've seen advertised, and what kind of opportunities you've seen other companies in the industry kind of starting to offer over the last couple of years.
See, it's pretty strange for me actually because I was definitely one of those people that assumed the tabletop industry was kind of monopoly, and like
I mean, it's not far off to be honest.
yeah, but like
half of it.
yeah, but like I didn't know about this like underground, like the indie scene, and honestly, it's opened my eyes, and because of that, like I didn't know that there were so many job opportunities in this industry. And like I said, honestly, I haven't really got much else to say on it because I didn't know it.
I'm here now.
I didn't know it existed, and now I'm here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what I will say is that it's next to impossible, unfortunately. Having been asked how to get my job by other people,
given that there is only one of you.
yeah, there are a tiny number of game developers, realistically. I would say one of the easiest ways to get a job, any job in the board game industry, is to do something like community management or customer service, that kind of thing, because those
definitely.
are jobs,
Definitely.
or artwork, because those are jobs that are actually advertised and hired for. A lot of board game developers are basically designers who then go freelance developing, but obviously that's a super hard path to get into. Right now in the industry, in order to become a board game designer, you have to know that there is a market for actually being able to publish games yourself. Then in recent years, Kickstarter has allowed people to self-publish, which has definitely opened the floodgates a lot, which is fantastic. We're seeing a whole range of new games that couldn't have got made otherwise. But that is an enormous amount of time, energy, and also upfront investment, because you've got to have
exactly.
artwork done. You probably got to get a prototype done, or at least really high quality renders.
I mean, gone are the days when you can just you can wing it.
Exactly.
Like, you have a really good idea, but effectively no kind of physical implementation of it.
Yeah.
And now the expectation is you basically got a finished product, which is expensive.
Exactly. So the sheer saturation of Kickstarter has once again kind of raised the barrier to become a games designer. And then also, if you want to design for the industry, you have to get lucky. We've had an open submissions portal quite often. It's currently not open, but probably will be again in future. But a lot of places don't have open submissions, or they have open submissions for a very particular type of game. So you just need an enormous amount of time and energy to first learn to design, and then actually be able to design a game, take it through the many iterations you need to become a designer, and also have the luxury of living somewhere like London where there are loads of playtest meetups.
Yeah.
All of those are serious barriers to becoming a designer. And then you already have to be a good designer to become a freelance developer, basically.
Right. So, yeah, sorry, the camera just cut out. No. So we're going to go back a little bit, rewind. Where were we? Sorry, we were at...
So we're talking about kind of like jobs in the industry.
Conventions.
Conventions specifically. Yeah, so saying about how the UK and the US and places like Canada and Australia have a lot of really good conventions for designers meeting publishers, like speed dating events, particularly at Gen Con, the UK Games Expo, Origins, that kind of stuff, just all bigger events, as well as sort of more local playtesting events run by organisations like ProSpiel and Playtest UK. So going to those and like networking with other designers can be really helpful because they might have expertise or insights on different types of games. You're likely to play a lot of different games at a convention that you probably wouldn't ordinarily play, which can give you a really good reading of like what is out there, what's new, what's fresh. And then obviously you're talking with people who know their games, whether it's publishers, designers, or whoever else who's in the industry, who's there at a convention, or just other enthusiastic people. Which is really great. And you can just learn a lot that way. I mean, what was interesting about what Rose said about the types of jobs that you kind of seen, particularly with sort of RPG writers and that kind of thing, is from my perspective as someone who's hiring a lot of freelancers pretty regularly and a limited number of employment opportunities, the kinds of things that I think people don't necessarily realize are kind of jobs in the industry is things like writing and media production, community management, like you said, that like are really hard skills that are necessary for a lot of different types of businesses, regardless of whether it's board games or video games or books or any kind of creative media, or really anything, to be honest. Things like community management, anyone with an online presence is going to need someone to deal with things like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and for us, things like Kickstarter as well. So like if you have experience in something like that, you have a very specific skill, then it may well be useful for a business in the industry. And like Rose said, if you reach out to these people, they're usually small teams. Like, I mean, the entire company is sat behind a microphone right now. Yeah, there are small teams of people.
Literally.
So it's quite possible that if, like Lawrence, we didn't necessarily think about hiring a media developer straight away. No. But then he did some freelance work for us, and it was really good. We worked really well together. We enjoyed working well.
Thank you, Peter.
Enjoyed working together, and we're like, hey, this has worked really well. This has been efficient price-wise, so let's think about this as more of a permanent fixture. And then we worked that out, and it worked, and it's going really well. And similarly with Rose as well. Effectively, that 2-month internship was effectively an extended interview where we got to see whether that was a working relationship and a kind of structure and a work pattern that actually did work well for the business. And it did, and that was great. Sometimes it doesn't work out, and sometimes it does, and you end up with a permanent position out of it. So like the industry is young enough that things are still very flexible. So if you like a particular company and what they do, and you think you have a very specific skill set you think would be useful for them in developing their business and their products and projects, then talk to them, say hello. At a convention, I'm usually floating around at places like UK Games Expo, kind of wandering about the stand after a meeting or something. Yeah. Just come up and say hello to me. I've got a name badge on. Right? It's like, excuse me, you're Peter, aren't you? Can I ask you about how to get in the industry?
As awkward as it may seem, it's
yeah. I mean, last year there was a guy who came up to me at UK Games Expo. I was just standing at the sort of the sales desk chatting to someone, and he just got talking to me and noticed I was the one running the company, and I spent about 20 minutes chatting to him about how his son had got a degree from a lot, can't remember which university it was, but it said, got a degree in this particular subject, really interested in the industry and gaming in general, wants to build a career. Where should he go for that?
Yeah.
And I think it ended up his skill was in writing. So I recommended a few RPG companies that I knew were growing and recruiting, and said, that's the skill that you've got that's going to be really valuable out of the sort of the things you've listed. Okay. So yeah, come say hello, or whoever else it is you think is interested in the industry.
I would like for the last 15 minutes for us to talk about our what we're currently playing or what we're really into at the moment in terms of board games. Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's start off with Peter. What are you playing at the moment? What's the game that's like really
doing it for me?
Really doing it for you. What's hitting that mark?
So hitting that sweet spot. For those not looking on video, I'm kind of turning around at the shelves now and having
which one?
Recently that I really enjoyed. I actually didn't play it that recently, but I'm looking at it now and thinking it was a really sort of notable experience of a game I really enjoyed. So Expedition Northwest Passage by Matago. It's a game about finding the Northwest Passage through the kind of the ice floats in Canada and Greenland. Kind of an expeditionary feat that was trying to sort of the 1800s originally, and then sort of onwards from there. Kind of similar to reaching the South and the North Pole, kind of a big adventure that the world was trying to reach, and it just did a really good job of creating that sense of not really knowing what was up ahead of you, but having some vague idea and kind of taking risks and sort of calculated risks along the way as to like whether you discover more land to try and sort of like support your journey, to kind of forge ahead and be the first there. And make sure you survive along the way and kind of manage your resources and your team as you do so. And like I was really into reading stories about Ernest Shackleton and sort of adventures near the South Pole and sort of similar kind of expeditionary things when I was younger. So I really liked that theme, and I thought that game did a really good job of communicating that feeling. You felt like an adventurer, and you felt like you were on an expedition, and competing against the other players to try and reach that goal first. But yeah, so to anyone who likes sort of adventure-y, sort of exploration games, I definitely recommend that one. Really hit the spot for me.
And what about you, Rose?
Well, to be honest, I feel like January's been a bit short on games so far, unfortunately.
That's very sad.
It's a
sad times.
Bit sad. So something I did this weekend was a playtest of a mega game, which I can't remember the name of.
Oh no!
Unfortunately. But that was a really good fun. I've never played a mega game before. I will put the name of it in the description because
if you're watching the video,
it's running again. Link in the description. YouTube. Okay. It's running again sometime in April, May, the full version. So yeah, I would check that out if only I could remember the name. But that was my first experience of a mega game. And I found it really fun. It was something that required an awful lot of concentration. Like by the end of the 2 hours, I was worn out with trying to, because it's so freeform, you really have to work out what you're meant to be doing at any one time and how you're supposed to be interacting with other people and what everyone else wants, which is really fun. It's a really interesting way to interact with board game. And I think the closest experience I've had to that kind of thing before is the game Sidereal Confluence, which I've only played once, but is so good, and I really hope I will get to play it again at some point, because that, despite being a board game, that's so incredibly freeform. You can trade almost anything, and it really gets a feeling of actually intergalactic negotiations, because you don't know exactly what other people are interested in. Because the game's timed, you can't waste time exactly plotting things. You just have to use your intuition and sense of what other people are looking for and try and get the best deal possible. So that's a great, really immersive game, and I felt like going to Mega Game was a similar experience.
Sounds like particularly Sidereal Confluence sounds like it helps you role play that sort of role, in, for want of a better word, in the game a lot better than other sort of similar things, something like Twilight Imperium or Eclipse, where you're doing something ostensibly similar, where you're kind of negotiating and there's a bit of diplomacy, but it sounds like you actually feel like you're doing those things.
Yeah, because in Sidereal Confluence, all the trading is simultaneous. So you have a resolution where you manufacture all your stuff, and then it's just time for you to all 3 to 8 of you simultaneously have got to hammer out the best deal for yourself everyone's trying to talk over each other and get each other's attention, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
But definitely a high stress one.
Yeah. What about you, Lawrence? What have you been playing?
Well, as you guys know, but you guys won't, I'm still kind of getting into board games properly. I'm still kind of developing my palette, I guess you'd say. But I've been playing a lot of a game called Ravine at the moment. I've been really enjoying it. I think
played that. It's a good party game.
I think it's a really good party game. I think it's a nice little. It's good to just throw it out and just kind of like sit down with a couple of friends and survive on an island after a plane crash.
Yeah, just casual, you know.
Yeah, really casual.
Yeah.
Throw a shelter over the top of you, you know.
Yeah.
Hope that the wolves don't eat you in the night, you know. It's just
classic.
It's just nice. It's just nice.
Good, clean fun.
Good, clean fun.
Yeah.
Not too intense. Like it doesn't like you could literally be hard day's work or whatever. Come home and then be like, you know what?
So it's not like Subterra. It doesn't give you arrhythmia.
It doesn't. Yeah, you're not going to be like
Sweating after the
yeah.
The horrors are gonna get me.
Yeah. Especially if you're playing in the dark.
I think I do remember someone telling me once that like the experience of Subterra was so intense that when they played it with their kid that they had nightmares about horrors afterwards.
Really?
And they kind of said like, congratulations for making possibly the most wonderfully thematic game ever, but also, could you not do that to my child? Which is quite funny. I was just like, I was like really concerned that I'd like damaged this child by publishing this game. And they're like, no, they loved it. They wanted to play it again. They just had a really weird nightmare about it. So yeah, you know, play ITB games and you'll have strange nightmares.
Some
involving
really interesting
our products.
experiences.
Yeah, I don't know what statecraft looks like as a fever dream.
That
would be
that'd be an interesting one.
maybe current political events. You know, like pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Newspeak. It's just an episode of Black Mirror right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
But in your minds, which in itself is Black Mirror.
Space
That's
worm.
Space
Oh,
worm. You
very
just get
true.
chomped by a galaxy-sized like space leviathan
Yeah.
eating planet-sized fruits. And yeah, role-playing a Viking in Scoro.
Oh, that's my highlight.
Yeah.
Going around on a little fishing boat,
Get some giant crab.
getting some big old crabs.
Yeah.
Throwing axes at other people. Right.
Casual Viking things.
Yeah, casual Viking things. Well, I think that really sums it up today. It was quite nice actually doing this for the first time. I don't know how to wrap. Yeah, it was very pleasant. I don't know how to wrap this up because I've never done this before.
I can now truly call myself a millennial because
Yeah.
you aren't one until you've been on a podcast.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
a bearded white man that has a podcast now, so
Yeah.
I literally meet all the criteria.
He has ascended.
I'm peak hipster. Yeah. My hipster credentials have been delivered by the Guardian.
So yeah, make sure you follow us on all of our social medias, as well as subscribe to our YouTube if you haven't already. We're going to be doing lots of podcasts, hopefully with special guests. Haven't quite decided on who's going to be our first guest because we're going to be doing our next podcast will feature a guest, but we just don't know who it is yet.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery.
It's not a Mr. Ron though. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, and goodbye.